You've heard the story. A lonely, fading starlet overdoses in a locked room.
Tragic end to a glamorous life. The official verdict? Suicide by barbiturate overdose. Case closed.
It's all fucking bullshit. Bullshit.
August 5th, 1962. Marilyn Monroe, 36 years old, found dead in her Brentwood home. The housekeeper discovers the body around 3 a.m. Police arrive at 4:25 a.m. The coroner rules it probable suicide by nambutol and chloral hydrate overdose. But the physical evidence? It doesn't just contradict the official story, it demolishes it. I was the first officer on scene, sergeant with the LAPD. When I walked into that bedroom, something felt wrong immediately. The scene was too controlled, too carefully set. She was lying perfectly straight, arms neatly at her sides. It felt entirely staged. Nobody dies like that from an overdose. You convulse, you thrash. You don't arrange yourself like you're posing for a photograph. And the room? Spotless. No water glass, no pill bottles on the nightstand. Everything was too clean.
The locked room mystery wasn't locked from the inside. The window was broken from the outside to gain entry, but the glass shards fell on the wrong side. And Eunice Murray's timeline? It shifts every single time she opens her mouth.
I found her around midnight. No, wait, 3 a.m. I saw the light under her door and I just knew something was wrong. Dr. Greenson came and broke the window. Or maybe I called him after. I don't remember exactly. It's all very confusing.
This wasn't about depression. This wasn't about Hollywood breaking another fragile star. This was about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Mafia, and the Attorney General of the United States. Marilyn Monroe wasn't a victim of Hollywood. She was a casualty of the Cold War. Forget the star-crossed lovers narrative. The Kennedy brothers weren't Romeo and Juliet. This was a counterintelligence nightmare. And the man tracking every second of it? The director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. I kept files on everyone. That's how you survive in Washington. Marilyn's file was particularly thick. We had surveillance on her movements, her phone calls, her associations. Why? She wasn't just sleeping with the president and the attorney general. She was a walking security breach with access to classified information and ties to organized crime. The woman was having pillow talk with JFK about Cuba while socializing with Sam Giancana's circle. Do you understand the implications? She was an unsecured intelligence leak in a cocktail dress. Here's how it worked. Frank Sinatra introduces Marilyn to the Kennedys through Peter Lawford, JFK's brother-in-law. Sinatra also happens to be close friends with Sam Giancana, the Chicago mob boss, who the CIA was using to try to kill Fidel Castro. I was the facilitator. That's what they called me. Jack's brother-in-law, Frank's friend, the guy who threw the parties where everyone mixed. I introduced Marilyn to Jack at a dinner party in 1954, but things didn't heat up until later. By 1962, she was calling the White House constantly. She thought it was love.
I knew it was leverage. When Jack got bored, Bobby stepped in to handle the situation.
That meant cutting her loose, but Marilyn didn't take rejection well. The Kennedys thought they were so smart, using us to get elected, using us to try to kill Castro, then turning around and prosecuting us like we're criminals.
Bob Kennedy's got his Justice Department breathing down my neck.
While his brother's sleeping with the same girl I'm having dinner with at the Cal Neva Lodge.
You see the problem?
Marilyn knew things. She knew about the Cuba operations. She knew about the back channels.
And she was getting emotional
making threats. That's when people become problems.
They made me feel special. Jack had this charm, this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room.
But then he'd disappear for weeks.
Bobby was different, intense, serious. He'd talk about justice and changing the world. I thought maybe he actually cared. But when I started asking questions, when I wanted answers about what we'd discussed in private, suddenly I was unstable. Suddenly I was a problem to be managed. I kept notes. I wrote everything down. That was my insurance policy. If they were going to throw me away, I'd make sure the world knew who they really were.
Think about what she knew. The Bay of Pigs. Operation Mongoose, the CIA's plots to assassinate Castro using mafia hitmen.
Back-channel negotiations with the Soviets during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
All of this discussed in bed, after drinks, in moments when powerful men forget who's listening.
Multiple witnesses described it. A small red diary. A book of secrets. Marilyn allegedly kept detailed notes. Names, dates, classified information. She called it her insurance policy.
I wasn't stupid. I knew how this worked. Men like Jack and Bobby, they use you and then they erase you. So I started writing everything down. Every conversation. Every name they mentioned. Operation Mongoose. Sam Giancana. Johnny Roselli. The plots against Castro. I kept it all in a little red book. I thought documentation would keep me safe. I was wrong.
The diary didn't contain gossip. It allegedly contained operational details. It named names. It connected the dots between the White House, the Justice Department, and organized crime.
When I heard she was keeping notes, I knew we had a problem. This was about national security.
If that diary went public, it would expose illegal collaboration to commit political assassination on foreign soil. It would destroy the administration, and it would possibly start World War III. We had to contain it.
My agents reported she had dangerous information. She planned to reveal White House secrets. We had surveillance on her phone lines. We knew she wasn't bluffing. She had become a national security threat. The trigger event happened in late July 1962. She was planning to go public.
I flew to her house. I begged her to reconsider. Marilyn, these are people who make problems disappear. She looked at me and said, "Let them try. I have proof." That's when I knew she was gonna die.
The house at 5th Helena Drive was bugged by everyone. Everyone was listening.
When she started talking about going public with the Cuba stuff, that wasn't just dangerous for the Kennedys. If she exposed the outfit's role, we'd lose our leverage. Bobby would have no reason to back off. We'd all go to prison. Or worse.
Her final hours were likely recorded. The motive was clear. She was threatening to expose the collusion. She had documentation. She had names. So they made the call. The timeline doesn't work. Let's reconstruct what actually happened that night. Eunice Murray claims she found the door locked. They call Dr. Greenson, who arrives and breaks the window. Police are called at 4:25 a.m., except multiple witnesses placed the ambulance at the house hours earlier, around midnight.
When I arrived at 4:25 a.m., I asked the housekeeper basic questions. Her answers didn't match the physical evidence. She said the door was locked, but there was no key. Phone records showed multiple calls to other numbers first.
She kept changing her story. First midnight, then 3 a.m., then she couldn't remember. That's not confusion. That's coaching.
Ambulance attendants later testified they arrived to find Marilyn alive but comatose. They began emergency procedures.
Then men in suits arrived and ordered them to stop. The ambulance was sent away. When police arrived officially at 4:25 a.m., Marilyn had been dead for hours and the house had been cleaned.
I performed the autopsy. If Marilyn swallowed 40-plus Nembutal capsules, where's the residue? Where are the yellow dye stains? Her stomach was completely empty. No pill fragments. Nothing. The drugs didn't get there through her stomach. I noted purpuric discoloration on the back, consistent with someone being held down. There was a suspicious bruise on her hip.
And what appeared to be a fresh needle mark. My superiors insisted on the overdose verdict. The evidence was dismissed.
I made calls that night. I was cleaning up before police arrived. I removed items from the house.
The red diary? Gone. Documents? Gone. Anything that connected Marilyn to the Kennedys or the mob? Gone.
I was the fixer. That's what I did. That's what I did.
I washed the sheets before the police came. Dr. Greenson told me to tidy up. I saw men in suits going through the house. I was told to say she seemed depressed, that she'd been taking pills. They gave me the timeline to repeat. I didn't ask questions. I just did what I was told.
The LAPD conducted no real investigation. They interviewed no witnesses from the mob. They didn't question RFK's alibi. They didn't investigate the ambulance call or the timeline discrepancies. The case was closed within days as probable suicide.
I told my superiors it was murder. The scene was staged. The evidence didn't support suicide. But nobody wanted to hear it. The case was closed before it even opened. I was told to keep my mouth shut. So I did. For years. But I never stopped believing she was killed. The state didn't just kill Marilyn Monroe. They successfully rewrote history to make her look like a dumb blonde.
The fragile starlet narrative became the official story, and anyone questioning it was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist.
They erased me twice. Once when they killed me, and again when they turned me into a cautionary tale about Hollywood excess. I wasn't a victim of fame. I was a victim of power.
The files are still redacted. The diary is still missing. The key players are all dead. We can't prosecute ghosts, but we can stop believing the lie. The evidence doesn't support suicide. The timeline doesn't work.
The medical findings contradict the official cause of death. And the motive, silencing a woman who threatened to expose the Kennedy Mafia-Cuba connection, is documented in declassified files.
Case closed? Not even close. We have reached the end of this sad story. See you in the next video.